1, 2, 3. Hey, good morning, you all. This is Ned over at My Philippine Dreams and to the E to the D over at MPD, coming at you from Dumaguete City, the city of gentle people. And welcome to yet another weekly live cast where we talk about things that are going on in the Philippines that could affect foreigners living, working, studying, doing anything in the Philippines, coming through the Philippines for whatever reason. We try to give out some up-to-date information about what is going on, so in case there are any eventualities you have to plan for, you can do so. Alright, first up, this episode of our live cast is brought to you by the Tough Mama Emergency Fan by Nikon. It actually says Nikon there. Or should I say Nikon? I'm not sure. And this is a great fan, and I highly recommend it. Unless you have battery backup or something for when the brownouts hit, it's good to have an emergency form of cooling, and the Tough Mama by Nikon does just that. It provides about 8 to 9 hours of nice cool fan breeze in case of any long-term brownouts. Trivia question. Last week's trivia question was, this band was formed in Long Island, New York in 1967, an auspicious year, and had 2 songs featured on the 1981 movie Heavy Metal. What is the name of this band? The correct answer was Blue Oyster Cult, and Kurt Turner, Michael Noble, Dwayne B., and Todd Quebler all received a free copy of my ebook, Chasing Your Philippine Dream, an Expat's Guide to the Philippines, 2017 version. Todd actually answered incorrectly, but he also noted, and he didn't mean to split hairs, that there was only one Blue Oyster Cult song on the actual soundtrack. Yeah, what happened was they had written a song called Vengeance the Pact, specifically for the movie, but unfortunately it basically encapsulated the whole plot of the hour and a half movie within 5 minutes, so they didn't use it on the movie. This week's trivia question. First 3 correct answers get a free copy of our ebook. So I actually gave out 4 copies this past week. This week's trivia question is, this sultry actress was born in Las Vegas on July 23rd, 1970. Sultry actress. She is best known for her roles on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and its spin-off Angel, not related to our tropical polar bear Angel. Both of which were great shows, by the way. I enjoyed both of them immensely. One of my only TV crushes, name this actress. The first 3 correct answers get a free copy of our ebook, Chasing Your Philippine Dream, an Expat's Guide to the Philippines. So make sure you email it to myphilippinedreams@gmail.com. Do not send it to myphilippinesdream. There's no S at the end. This week's recommended featured Philippines expat vlogger, and you can find the link to his channel down in our video description box, is The Adventures of Johnny Warrior. Now, Johnny Warrior is an interesting person, and he comes with an interesting perspective on life here in the Philippines. He is a combat veteran. He is retired from the military, the Army, I believe. He was one of the cool guys. And he had multiple deployments in Iraq, Afghanistan. He was down in Rwanda, Somalia. The latter 2 being some of those engagements that you really don't hear a whole lot about except for when they were going on. It's kind of like Honduras and Nicaragua was when I was in. They're untold, they're like secret little quiet wars. They were pretty nasty. And he talks about his experiences transitioning back to civilian life. He talks about his experiences with PTSD. Again, he did multiple deployments, so he's got a really interesting and unique perspective. And you see a lot of those guys. You see a lot of military veterans. You see a lot of retired military folks here in the Philippines getting the most bang for their buck. He's also got some real cool survival skills. And if the shit ever hits the fan, you're probably going to want Johnny Warrior there. Definitely. Alright, so first up, we're going to be talking about 3 things. We're going to be talking about some new labor regulations. We're going to be talking about President Duterte and his calls for his impeachment. And we're also going to be talking about some unfortunate foreigners that were murdered, and we're going to be giving an update on one of those murders. So first up, new labor regulations. One of the things that employers like about the Philippines is they can really exploit the workforce. There are some labor laws, but they're not rigorously enforced, and the Duterte administration, one of the things they built their platform on was ensuring that workers are adequately protected about being exploited by employers. So there's a couple things that came out recently, and this is all from the Department of Labor and Employment, the Dole. So the Department of Labor and Employment issued the Anti-Age Discrimination and Employment Act in mid-February, and it finally went into effect on February 28th of this year. It prohibits employers from hiring workers based on age. Under the law, employers cannot publish any advertisement and all forms of media that suggest preferences, limitations, and specifications based on age. Employers are also not allowed to require candidates to disclose their age or date of birth during the application process. Violators of the law will face a fine of not less than 50,000 pesos, but not more than 500,000 pesos, or imprisonment of not less than 3 months, but not more than 2 years, or both. We ask that you exercise caution and not include any age specifications and preferences in your job postings. Now, this information is all coming from a foreigner that runs a very successful business here in the Philippines, and he was nice enough to pass this information on. Before, they wanted photos, they wanted, certain ages and all that stuff. They were discriminating along a whole bunch of lines, and these regulations are designed to stop that from happening. Okay, and another recent one, the new Dole directive on contracting and subcontracting employees prohibits the following. Now, contractual employees, they use those a lot here. A lot of the dies and the dongs that you see working in the retail establishments, the malls, they are basically contractual workers. That means they're only working for about five months and 30 days, and then they basically get laid off, because after, I believe, 6 months, they're supposed to give them benefits, including Social Security, health care benefits, that type of thing, time off, vacation time. So what they do is they contract. Now, Dole's response to this, and this is, again, coming down recently this past week, you can no longer do the following. You cannot contract out of a job or work by reason of a strike or lockout, whether actual or imminent. So if your employees are threatening to strike or walk out, you can't hire contractual employees to replace them. Another point is requiring the contractor, subcontractors, employees to sign as a precondition to employment or continued employment a resignation letter, a blank payroll, a waiver of labor standards including minimum wage and social or welfare benefits, or a quit claim releasing the principal or contractor from liability as to payment of future claims. Again, this is how these employers, they were actually paying them below minimum wage, getting waivers on that stuff, and doing all these preconditions, the resignation letters. Listen, you're only going to be working for 5 months and 30 days so that we don't have to give you benefits. Another rule coming down from Dole prohibits repeated hiring by the contractor subcontractor of employees under an employment contract of short duration, and any other such practices, schemes, or employment arrangements designed to circumvent the right of workers to security of tenure. So this is some pretty heavy stuff that's coming down. Again, there's a lot of rules and regulations and laws in the Philippines. A lot of times they're not rigorously enforced, so we'll see what happens here. But President Duterte, this was one of the things that he campaigned on, was protecting workers from employers that are trying to exploit them and maintain their bottom line. So we'll see what happens with that. In other news, I just had a root canal. I had my very first root canal last week. Thanks to Dr. Garupa for a completely painless process. I am a total coward when it comes to dentists. This was my first one. But she uses so much Novocaine that basically, not just your head, but your neck and the upper torso is basically paralyzed for about 24 hours. When she did all the cavity, when she drilled everything out, the two roots, the nerve roots, I felt no pain. I felt nothing at all. But when I went in yesterday to have it filled, because they have to fill in those canals, she didn't give me as much Novocaine, I don't think. And there was 2 times when I actually jumped up off the chair because she hit the active nerve that was still active at the bottom of the 20mm excavation. Total cost was 12,000 pesos. She charges 6,000 pesos per root. I had a premolar done, so that was 2 roots. And it's going to be another 10,000 for a ceramic crown after I get back. She says she wants to do that after I get back from the U.S. So she put that off for a little while. All right, let's check the live feed, see if we're going. All right, we are going. We got 96 watching right now. Golden Rich, okay. Don't be starting up, Golden Rich. Stephen Stewart, just to say hello, Ned, and love your channel. Thank you very much, Stephen. Best to you and yours. Matt Gustafson, hello. Sess in the City, what is up? What's going on with you? Hello from Colorado Springs. Hello from Florida. Tim Blakely is in Florida. I will be there in the not too distant future. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to have like a family reunion of sorts. That'll be nice. I'm looking forward to that, definitely. So yeah, as far as Allison Hannigan, she's actually married to Wesley. I didn't know that, but Wesley married Allison Hannigan, the guy who played Wesley. That was such a great show. Such a good show. And Angel was great too. I like Spike. Spike was a cool vampire. R. Singh says, what's the email? It's myphilippinedreams@gmail.com. Asif Khan says, Ned, your sound is bad. No sound. Is anybody else having problems with the sound? It doesn't look like it. Yeah, Jerry Gamboni. I'm a total pussy, dude. Ever since I saw that movie, I forgot what the movie was called, but they were torturing him by drilling into his teeth without Novocaine. Marathon Man, I think it was. That kind of traumatized me. All right. Next up, the BB Bruiser noted, and he's noted this a couple times, said, Ned, you are looking a lot older since you got to the Philippines. Looking at my videos from 3.5 years ago, 4 years, almost 4 years now, yeah, you can definitely see the process of aging has definitely kicked in since I came to the Philippines, and I think there's 2 reasons for that. First off, it's summer every day here, and when I'm riding around, I'm riding in town, and I don't wear a helmet, so I got no sun protection on my head, and it's been taking a toll. 365 days of summer, getting in the sun every day isn't good for your skin, and yeah, it's been looking rough. And I'm one of those stupid guys who still smokes, and smoking causes, skin damage over time. So you combine those 2 things, and I've got more wrinkles, and I'm starting to get the saggy skin. Everything that used to be firm and taut is slowly starting to head south. I'm getting all these strange carbuncles and growths, hair growing out my ear. I'm almost 50, man. Almost 50 years old. So I hope that answers your observation, BB Bruiser. Yeah, I think it's the sun exposure and the smoking. All right, next up, we got an impeachment threat against President Duterte. An impeachment complaint against President Duterte is now pending before the House of Representatives. While the president's allies were quick to defend him, it seems the president couldn't care less about it. Quote, they can do their worst. I can do better in my performance as a worker on government. This is a democracy, end of quote, President Duterte said. On March 16th, Representative Gary Alejano filed an impeachment complaint against President Duterte over various charges, including betrayal of public trust, bribery, and graft. Among the allegations in the complaint is the president's policy on drugs, which Alejano said has resulted in the extrajudicial killing of more than 8,000 suspected drug criminals. Meanwhile, the lawyer of self-confessed Davao Death Squad member Edgar Matobato said he will file a case against Duterte before the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity over the alleged summary killings. Still, President Duterte stands by his war on drugs. He says no impeachment complaint or a case before an international court, for that matter, will stop him from fulfilling his promise to rid the country of drugs, criminality, and corruption. He said, I will deliver on my promises. Listen to me, even if it would cost me my life, my honor, and the presidency, he's reported to say. So that's the latest updates on politics here in the Philippines. As always, there's good and bad. The bad is, the extrajudicial killings of all these, Filipino citizens, and the good is the government's trying to make some headway with the labor laws and trying to make sure that their employees do not get exploited. Checking the comment. Golden Rich. Okay. Yeah, Aaron Geyer says 6,000 PHP for a route. That's not too bad. Some people come to the Philippines, they call them dental vacations, and they come here and get a bunch of stuff done. It's a lot cheaper in the U.S., and I actually looked up how much a crown was. The only price I could find was in Australia, and a crown costs 2,000 to 4,000 Australian dollars. Yeesh, that's expensive. Hello from the Bronx. What's up, Bronx? Boston and New York have a great relationship. Mr. Kumar says, hello from Mauritius. I've always seen that name of that country. I've never been able to pronounce it. Greetings to you. Hello from Tennessee. Charles Carr. Getty G-Force said something about weight loss. Oh, Zebra, you got bad sound? Let me check my OBS. Testing. I'll turn it up a bit more. Okay, it's about as good as I can do. Speaking of weight loss, our Pink House, all the inhabitants, all the denizens of Pink House here in Dumaguete are gaining weight. I'm not actually gaining weight, but I'm gaining more body fat. And Michelle's gained some weight. Some of these, people have noticed that she's gained some weight because she's basically working all day, sedentary, sitting in front of her desk. And Angel in particular, if Angel gains any more weight, she's basically going to be a polar bear. She's got like rolls on top of her rolls now. I'm going to try to put her on some sort of a diet, give her less scraps and all that. We'll see how it works. You can see Michelle hasn't gained a lot of weight.
I didn't gain a lot of weight.
Just a little bit. But her gaining like 2 pounds is like me gaining 20 pounds.
I just gained 4 pounds in 4 or 5 months.
Okay, but 4 pounds like on me would be like 25 pounds. You know?
Hey, I worked too hard to gain weight.
Yeah, you were too skinny before. So everybody here in Pink House is healthy. We're all getting fatter. It's a sign of good middle class living. All right, moving on to some more unsavory topics, unfortunately. We got some more murders of foreigners in the Philippines. And I'm actually going to give you guys a link. Actually, you can see the link. I believe it's down in the video description box. There's a website that compiles all the statistics and all the stories on foreigners being kidnapped and murdered in the Philippines. It's a great resource. I recommend it, and I'll be talking about that a little bit later, too. All right, so the most recent murder we've had in the Philippines happened just this past week. It was an Australian businessman who was stabbed dead by his helper. Helper is like a maid or something like that. An Australian, and this is coming out of Negros Occidental, which is just north of Negros Oriental, where we are. An Australian businessman was stabbed to death by his helper at his house in Himamalayan City, Negros Occidental on Saturday. Police identified the fatality as Warren Hill, age 74. Investigation showed that Hill had a heated argument with 20-year-old Robert Flores when he learned that the suspect was planning to sleep with his female co-worker. Okay, so this helper might have been like a groundskeeper or driver or something like that. Hill confronted the suspect and fired him. Flores, armed with a double-bladed knife, stabbed his employer. Mr. Hill sustained 2 stab wounds and was declared dead at a hospital. Flores fled and hid inside a sugarcane plantation. The police cordoned off the sugarcane fields, but the suspect failed to surface. The police said they have coordinated with Flores' parents to help them negotiate their son's surrender. Murder charges will be filed against Flores. Now, this is up in the area near Bacolod. Actually, Bacolod is much further north. It's on the northern tip of the island. But something horrible happened up there. I believe it was 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe less, I'm not sure, where a foreigner was killed. A foreigner and his wife, his Filipino wife, was murdered by their helpers. I think there was 2 or 3 helpers. And their bodies were stuffed in a well. And the young Filipinos and Filipinas that killed them took their laptops, a little bit of cash, the cell phones, sold all that stuff, had a party, and they all got arrested. So that's the latest. This past week, an Australian businessman was stabbed to death by his helper. And that's not the first instance I've heard of somebody firing a helper and them coming back and stabbing, shooting. There was actually, this happened, I believe, down in CDO not too long ago. Guy came back and shot him or something. I forgot what it was. Because he fired a security guard. The security guard was sleeping. Now, last week, some people had brought up that a ex-Marine had been killed in Biliran, and I didn't know about it. So we're going to be talking about that one right now. This is from March 11, 2017. Biliran. The police are looking into the killing of a retired United States Marine who was shot dead by armed assailants. Investigators were still trying to identify the identities of two men who shot Harvey Abrams, 74 years of age, who lived in Barangay Bato, Sitiao, Bantilan. The victim was driving a Toyota Wigo with his wife Maria beside him when two men on a red motorcycle suddenly drove alongside his vehicle at about 3:35 p.m. The motorcycle passenger fired at him before the driver made a U-turn, heading towards the town of Naval. Excuse me. Mr. Harvey was brought to the Biliran Provincial Hospital, but was declared dead on arrival by attending physician. Recovered from the crime scene was a hand grenade. Now, excuse me, I did some further research on this, and it looks like there was a possible land dispute involved in this. Excuse me. The leftovers from my bronchitis. Again, I believe he was in an altercation with the guy next to him, a neighbor, over right-of-way or something. And I'm not sure what's going on with that. We also talked about the murder of Bill Gaskill. This happened back around Christmas time. It was in Maasin City in southern Leyte, I believe. And there was nothing in the news about it. Absolutely nothing in the news. And come to find out, this past week we got a Facebook message from the brother of the girlfriend of Bill Gaskill's girlfriend. They were in a long-term relationship for a very long time. I'm not going to say his name, and I changed some information in here, but he said to me, he said, I saw your video concerning the death of an American murdered in Maasin in southern Leyte. Thanks for that. The American's longtime girlfriend is my sister. Bill Gaskill passed away is a really hard loss for us because we loved him. I am married with 2 kids and live overseas, but we met Bill last summer for summer vacation. Today, March 16th, is a court hearing for the murder of Bill, and my sister already has 3 witnesses. Praying we can have justice for his loss. Keep safe and God bless. So that was good to get an update on what was going on with that, because again, there was no information on the newspapers. The only information I was able to get was from Bill's sister, who's in the United States, through her Facebook, and from the brother of Bill's longtime girlfriend. So it's good to see. And I guess from the information on Facebook, the guy who killed him, stabbed him to death, had some mental health issues, and it looks like he's going to be made accountable for his action. Again, the consolidated information on kidnappings and murders of foreigners in the Philippines can be found at www.factsanddetails.com, the link that's down in the video description box, focusing on Southeast Asia and the Philippines. So that's the good, the bad, and the sometimes ugly or downright unusual things that are going on in the Philippines. Go back to the comments real quick. Where's my treehouse? Golden Rich. From SCLA, an obvious anonymous internet user, says you have to be a total arrogant and douche to get killed in the Philippines. That's actually not right, brother. That's not actually true. Yeah, Christopher Lane brings up, and Chris, you'll probably be next week's recommended channel. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work, son. Keep up the good work. Christopher Lane says there's always some kind of dispute involved. You don't want to mess with Filipinos. That's actually pretty accurate, and I'd agree with that assessment. Just again, it's culturally, it's permeated with this Asian influence of amor proprio, the face, and the loss of face, the shame, and all that. And, usually foreigners are larger than Filipinos, so they're going to do something drastic. And they might just, if you yell and scream at them and do whatever you're going to do, and they might just walk away at that moment. But they might come back with, 2 or 3 of their kuyas and take care of business. And it's a strange dynamic, because there was a business dispute not too long ago. I forgot where it was. I think it was down in Mindanao. And the guy who had the problem with the business owner, and it was like a Sari store, came by and tossed a grenade into this little small market area that was in front of the Sari store. It was kind of crazy. All right, Steve Urquhart says, greetings from Boston. Ned and Michelle, love your channel. Thank you, Steve. I hope you guys are done digging out. Golden Rich says, I want to pee, but I want to watch Ned. You can go pee if you want. Golden Rich is so strange. And finally, Stephen Stewart. He notes and asks, hi Ned, this is a question for you. A lot of YouTube channels are based around Dumaguete. So would you live anywhere else in the Philippines? Absolutely. There's a few areas that we want to check out in higher climates where it's a little bit cooler. We've lucked out. These last 3 or 4 months have been beautiful in Dumaguete, but the summertime and most of the year, it's really too hot. Dumaguete, I mean, if you're coming to Asia, the Philippines is like Asia Light. It's like the low-calorie version of Asia because everybody basically speaks English. A lot of, the customs and stuff, it's not too difficult to get used to it. And Dumaguete is even a lighter version. That's even a more low-calorie version of Asia because there's a lot of foreigners here. There's also a lot of students here, so you got a very educated population. They're used to seeing foreigners all over, and there's frickin' thousands of us in Dumaguete and around Dumaguete. Mostly students and mostly family guys. So they don't look twice. But when you travel out, when you're zipping around town, the islands and stuff, and you're going to areas that aren't frequented by foreigners, you get a lot of stares. You get a lot of the shyness. They don't really want to interact with you too much because they don't think their English is up to par, is up to snuff. But Dumaguete is a great town. It's a little congested, although the street changes, making it all one way, has helped quite a bit, I think, in my humble opinion. Dumaguete isn't too big. It's not too small. It's got all the amenities. It's got some good restaurants. It's got shopping venues. It's got the mall and all that stuff. But it's also easy to get out of. Me and Michelle went down. Michelle and I went down to Darwin on Sunday. And it only takes like 20 minutes, half an hour to get down to Darwin, and you're at a beautiful beach, and you got shade, and all the fish are out there, and everybody's running around having a great time. You can't do that if you're living in the NCR. You can't do that if you're living in Cebu. Those cities and those metro areas are a lot more difficult to get out of and to get out to the countryside and the provinces. And it's really nice. I mean, just going for a ride, going for a long distance little scoot around just to see things is one of my favorite things to do, especially early in the morning when the sun is just rising. Going out and just zipping around somewhere and just seeing the sights, and all the fishermen are coming in and they're working on their nets and all that, and it's just a whole different place than when the sun is fully up and you're cooking under the sun, and it's not as much fun. Again, Mad Max says, I never got to Dumaguete, but was told it's like any other place. I was in Negros. People drink too much beer in Negros. Yeah, I mean, when you're traveling around, a lot of times these towns and these small cities and stuff, they all kind of look the same. They all kind of got the same features and that. So, it is what it is. The purpose of our channel is to try to help people when we can with our limited knowledge and our limited experience on life here. We try to respond to messages as much as possible, but we both work full time. We're both working very hard, so we usually don't have time to answer to everything. Don't take it as a personal slight if I don't get right back to you. For example, all the free ebooks from last week's trivia question were just sent out this morning, just because I got a lot going on. Michelle has a lot going on. Michelle was supposed to handle all the Facebook messages. She stopped doing that for some reason. And giving out the free ebooks. I think I've never got a complaint about our ebook. I put a lot of time, a lot of effort. There's a lot of information in there from a variety of sources, from people that have a lot more experience than I do here with the culture and the interactions and all that stuff. Things to do, things not to do, and things to be concerned about. For example, there's all the stuff in relationships. I've only had relationships with Michelle. So I don't have extensive relationship type information there, so I had to rely on my co-authors. But I think it all turned out well. I've never gotten complaints. I got my flight booked. Going Asiana Airlines. I've never flown with them. I believe the Korean. And I made sure my favorite seat on a plane is the aisle seat where my right arm is free, so I can, get my tablet and watch movies and flip the pages on my Kindle. And I got all aisle seats to the U.S. and all aisle seats back from the U.S. flying a round trip on our Asiana. Philly in the Philippines says 90-day return policy on the book. I'm not sure. I think it's 30 days. I think it's 30 days. And then you just got to, if you pay through PayPal, I can just refund the money. So maybe it's going to be less than 30 days. I'm not sure. Golden Rich, Golden Rich, you should start your own YouTube channel. You really should. Where's Expat in training, where's Bama? Barry Jordan, Michelle and I, we're going to try, hopefully this time, we're going to Bohol this weekend, Sunday and Monday. So maybe we'll run into him. All right, so that's it for this week's live cast. Thank you for all the interaction. Thank you for the comments. Be well. If you're in America, if you're in a cold climate, try to stay warm. And just know, take some solace that your spring is coming. And spring is a beautiful time of the year, the rebirth of the earth. It's amazing. And our summer is coming. And our summer is not amazing. Our summer is not a rebirth. Our summer is basically everything cooks under the sun for months and months and months. So this is Ned over at My Philippine Dreams. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.